I, along with Nick, will give you a crash course on 16.5.
While you're watching this video, think about the question, how did Peter the Great and Catherine the Great strengthen Russia and expand its territory?
The first person we'll be talking about is Peter the Great. In 1682, Peter became king of Russia at the age of 10. He spent a lot of his time in the presence of the English, Dutch, and Scottish, among others, to learn about new technology that helped other monarchs form a powerful empire. By doing this, his goal was to modernize Russia.
He took his exploration of discovering new technology to the next level by visiting countries such as England to experience it for himself. He visited the parliament, which would later help him form the government he wanted for Russia.
When Peter the Great returned to Russia, he made a policy of westernization. By the definition in the textbook, westernization is the adoption of Western ideas, technology, and culture. However, many Russians found it hard to adapt, so Peter the Great changed his style and became autocratic.
Being autocratic means Peter the Great ruled with unlimited power. This was only the beginning of how he tried to modernize Russia.
Peter the Great first dealt with the boyars, or nobles that owned land. He made them serve in positions usually held by civilians or the military.
After going and returning from the West, Peter made nobles wear more Western clothing and shave their beards. With this, he knew the nobles would need some kind of incentive if they were going to sustain their military or civilian positions.
He passed a law saying the nobles had complete control of their lands with the peasants, or serfs, on it.
Soon after, serfdom, or control over peasants, became widely adopted practice all over Russia. Peter the Great made many other reforms to modernize Russia, including simplifying the alphabet, setting up schools, and making pre-existing schools better. He funded all of this by adapting mercantilistic ideas such as export, mining, and encouraging new trading companies and routes.
To be a good ruler, you must have no mercy, which is what Peter the Great displayed throughout his reign. For example, when elite palace guards revolted, he killed 1,000 of them and left their bodies to rot outside the wall of the palace.
Moving along, Peter the Great also had a goal of expanding Russia's borders. The first step he took was expanding Russia's military and gaining more influence and power using them.
He built, and I quote, a world-class navy from scratch. Peter wanted to have a trading port that was free from ice all year round, also known as a warm water port, due to Russia's ports being in the Arctic Ocean, always freezing over during the winter. This port would increase their ability to trade with the West.
Peter the Great was targeting one in the Black Sea, but had to get through the Ottoman Empire, which wasn't going to happen. Later on, Catherine the Great would achieve this feat, which we'll talk about later on.
In the 1700s, Peter started a war against Sweden, who had control of the Baltic region. With only 8,000 men, Sweden was dominating Russia, who had an army 5 times their size. In 1709, Peter made a comeback after rebuilding his army and took down Sweden and took over the Baltic region.
With this win, he decided to build a new capital city, which would be called St. Petersburg. He located it near the Neva River along the Baltic coast, where there were swampy shores. Obviously, he made the serfs drain them. The palaces were to be built in a Western style, and Peter also planned to build parks and boulevards.
All of these examples represent the modern Russia built by Peter the Great. Even after his accomplishments, he didn't stop there. He expanded Russia's territory east into present-day Siberia, and Russia also signed a treaty with China, which stated that Russia controls the lands north of China.
Peter the Great, before he died, sponsored Vitus Bering's expeditions. He would go on to find the Bering Strait between Alaska and Siberia. After he died, Russians still put outposts in Alaska and Northern California, officially making Russia the largest country in the world.
Peter the Great officially died in 1725. After that, his rule for nobles to serve the state died out. His contribution to serfdom distanced Russia from other states. In the end, Peter the Great was able to have Russia involved in the businesses of other Western countries.
Now it is time for the woman of the hour, Catherine the Great. By birth, she was a German princess, and at the age of 15, she was set to marry the next heir to the Russian throne, Tsar Peter III.
Catherine the Great was also very involved in the Russian culture. She learned the Russian language, she was an active member in the Russian Orthodox Church, and by doing all of this, People became loyal to her.
In 1762, Tsar Peter III was murdered by Russian army officials who were devoted to Catherine the Great. After this, Catherine the Great became the leader of Russia.
She made many improvements to Russia by arranging laws, reorganized the government, and built schools that educated both boys and girls.
Catherine the Great, just like Peter the Great, loved Western ideas and wanted Russia's politics and culture to be like those of the Europeans.
She even wrote history or work of history in Western literature and plays, encouraged French language and customs, and arranged performances.
Catherine the Great was amazing, but she was also a part of the absolute monarch. This means that she was a single ruler that has full authority or absolute power.
The first thing she did was giving the serfs, or the peasants, a harder life. She did this by giving the nobles a grant of important rights, saying they had exemption from taxes and had even more control over the serfs.
As expected, the peasants were unhappy and tried to rebel, but Catherine used her power to subdue them, and as a result, more people were put into serfdom.
Remember the warm water port Peter tried taking from the Ottoman Empire? Well, in 1774, Catherine the Great succeeded in getting the warm water port during the Russo-Turkish War.
Catherine the Great was also after Poland, along with King Frederick II of Prussia and Emperor Joseph II of Austria. They teamed up and took over Poland.
In 1772, the three countries divided Poland, with Russia getting part of eastern Poland and with Austria and Prussia splitting western Poland. In 1793, the three countries further divided Poland until 1795, when Poland no more existed.
Don't worry, Poland makes a reappearance in 1919. The whole point of Catherine the Great getting Poland's territory and the warm water ports was to expand Russia's territory like Peter the Great did.
What we hope you take out of this crash course was how Peter the Great modernized Russia, expanded its borders, and how Catherine the Great strengthened Russia.
Yeah, he's going around. At this point, hopefully you guys have thought about an answer to the question, how did Peter the Great and Catherine the Great strengthen Russia and expand its territory?
Our answer to that would be, starting with Peter, he used a policy of westernization, he was autocratic, took control of the nobles, made many reforms, strengthened the army, and hired explorers such as Derreck.
Catherine the Great did it by incorporating an absolute monarch, incorporating Western ideas and European culture, strengthening its army, making rights for the nobles, and engaging in business affairs with other countries. Thanks for watching.